So this is in short the agenda of the meeting. Now, what is happening to hotel segment? As you know, the business has gone down for in the region and in the world. However, we have to see where the business is being affected. It's the operational hotels which are suffering from the business today. It's because of the traveling ban. You can see that there are limitations on occupancy. However, to look at the positives, there is no project being cancelled. However, although there are delays, there are no projects being cancelled, and many of the owners are still rushing us to deliver the materials and finish their project. So there is a silver lining to the whole game, and we can see that with respect to the share market and the financial state of the hotel chains, it has already started to come back from the 30% depreciation that they were having. So there is a positive trend compared to probably 60 days back. With respect to the staff, again, all the hotel operators are still employing their design staff and top engineering staff. So there is no point of concern in hotel segment in during this COVID state. Another interesting state you can see is from the graph over here. This is the occupancy status of hotels in China. You can see there was a massive drop in the first month to 9%. You can see the laser pointer in the first month of Jan. But then if you look at the next 2 months, there was a rapid increase of occupancy in China. So this has happened before, and we all have come out of it much stronger than before. There are multiple use cases of hotel industry becoming on a very positive growth after a dip. So this is the situation of COVID status and hotel segment in the past 2-3 months. However, when we look at this, there are business opportunities. Whenever there is a chaos in the world, if you look at business, there is always an opportunity which arises out of the chaos. So what are the business opportunities? If you look at Schneider, if you look at the business that Schneider is getting, 85% of the business is from new projects, which are your newly constructed projects, and 15% of it is from your existing projects. So what does this mean? Even if there is a operational occupancy which is being affected in current hotels, it is not going to affect Schneider to a large extent, at least as of today, because we expect COVID to be a temporary dip, and we are confident that in 2 to 3 months there would be massive growth of travelers which will want to start traveling as they have been at home. So what are the business opportunities that we have currently at this point in time? Design for phase hotels. I can see that a lot of consultants and operators are relooking at their specification and how to become more energy efficient in order to reduce their operational cost. So it is an opportunity for all of us in this call to work more closely with designers and owners and consultants to see how we can influence them. So by the time that we are out of this temporary dip, we are there in the spec, we are there with the operators, we are there with the clients. Brownfield projects, although there is this operational cash flow, a lot of owners are relooking at their hotels and thinking, okay, this is a good time for us to refurb the hotel, to make any changes that I want because the occupancy is low. Let us look at my hotel. Let me close down the hotel for 2 months, make any changes in the hotel. So at least 10 to 12 brownfield opportunities, which are existing hotels, have come to us in the past 2 months. So that's a huge surge in the amount of brownfield opportunities if you are looking at. Then the existing construction hotels. If you look at the business, I'm talking from a zone perspective. If you look at the business, there is still a push in terms of lockdown in this time of lockdown, that the projects has to be finished and the material has to be delivered. And we are at the peak of lockdown. So considering that fact, in the first 20 days of lockdown, let's say with respect to Singapore, we have already received 4+ hotels of new orders from 4+ hotels. So definitely there is a slight point of concern during the temporary time, but on a long term and a 1 year or 1 year time duration, I feel and our organization is aligned with it, that there will be positive growth in the travel industry and with respect to hotels. So this is with respect to these 3 points, in the coming slides, we will be seeing how we can influence the design, what can we speak to our brownfield projects with respect to return on investment. So we will be going through all this. The next portion was supposed to be done by Brendan, where our discussion was to be on what are the topics to be discussed.
So when we talk about being able to measure energy, or being able to measure any, or being able to manage any of these things, of course, we get back to that whole situation about sustainability, and then being able to manage something means that we need to measure it, be able to measure it properly, right? So the saying, you can't manage what you don't measure, is really important. And at the present time, we have the capability to measure stuff in hotels that we never, these opportunities are very rare. So it's very rare that you're going to see a hotel that is running at such a low occupancy rate. But you should take advantage if you can, or maybe even convince your customers to take advantage of this situation, because now we can do stuff like get real baseline energy. We can also and getting these baselines are very important, especially if you've got clients who might be a Marriott, who are looking at having 100% of their hotels with some sort of sustainability certification. Well, they will be certified by 2025. It's really good for us, though, to be able to make those numbers real. Now, with what we've done to Marriott to date, we're using our resource advisor. Finding the baseline energy of hotels has been very difficult, okay? Because they're always occupied. There's always a level of occupancy. So knowing what the baseline of that particular hotel is very difficult. So now is a great time to be able to get baseline measurements and be able to use that as the bottom of the curve is the least amount of energy that this hotel should be using. So it's great to be able to do this, to be able to find what that baseline is. It's also a great time to be able to for the BMS to be able to look at your BMS and find out whether the BMS is operating the hotel as it should. Is it actually turning things off automatically to reflect what the occupancy level is of the hotel? Are there things that you might be able to implement, even if it's temporary, for your customer who's trying to stay open and trying to keep people in his hotel, that he could be able to maybe turn sections of his hotel air conditioning off without impacting the whole system, and using the BMS to do that? And then maybe being able to do that at a later date as well, as as occupancy starts to return and as people begin to travel again, or as even if it's domestic travel starts to pick up further, that you're able to help your customer turn his hotel back on in sections using the BMS as a tool to help him do that. So that's one thing. The other thing is to look at consumption, right? So if we're looking at consumption, we go, let's look at the electrical consumption of my hotel. Does it sort of equate to what 100% was? You know, like do I think that I'm using too much energy? Is there a base figure for the hotel to compare it to now? You know, like how many watts or how many kilowatts per square meter or watts per square meter should I be using compared to what I'm actually using now? Because, like I said, you just do not get the opportunities to be able to do this sort of thing very often in a place with few guests. The other thing to look for is chilled water systems, especially in this part of the world. Chilled water systems. Has the chilled water system turned down to the amount that you think it should? Are the flow rates are the flow rates for the chiller reflective of what is operational? Because probably right now you might be able to count on just on your two hands what units inside the hotel are still operational. Okay? And you could go back and look at the commissioning records or for the installation manuals for that hotel, and you could probably pretty well work out what amount of chilled water consumption on this present day at this particular time, how much chilled water you should be using within the hotel, because you'll know how many rooms are occupied, right? And then you'll know how many rooms are unoccupied, and you should be able to see the impact of these unoccupied rooms, right? So in other words, you should look for places where you might be leaking chilled water. Say the valve actuator has failed. Say the valve has failed. Say it's disconnected. These are the sorts of things you can look for. This you can help the hotel owner to say, now is even if it's not a great time to fix it, if it is a great time to fix it, but here is what we're doing. We're bleeding all this energy out, because you might think that you're not consuming any more chilled water temperature because those coils might not be turned on, but what you're actually doing to the chilled water plant is terrible, because you're getting a lot more cold water back by having all of those valves open. You're getting much cold water back to the chillers, and this will cause performance problems for the chillers. So this is some of the things that you can look for on the chilled water system. From a domestic hot water system, are you seeing much higher return water temperatures back from your domestic hot water, which is reflective of the fact that there is no load on the system? Are the boilers cycling much less? Is there some way that maybe you could even make the domestic hot water system smaller to suit the lower occupancy rate, maybe by closing off some valves somewhere, maybe by doing something like this to try and assist your hotel customer to make his system more efficient, his domestic hot water system more efficient. Then, as I mentioned before, with outside air systems and exhaust systems and corridor air conditioning systems, if the hotel is set up for it, maybe you might be able to speak to the hotel about what floors they're using, or agree on the number of an area of the building that they're working in, and then you might be able to shut down complete areas of that hotel so that you're not air conditioning it. Or if you are having air conditioning on, maybe you might want to cycle it via a time schedule once or twice a day, just to keep air moving through the space, rather than running it 24 hours and using energy that no one is really going to get any benefit from. So all of this comes back down to using things like your BMS. Like the BMS is like the best tool for doing these sorts of things. It is that walking pair of arms and legs that can reach out and turn systems on and off when it's been properly installed. The other thing about the BMS now is logging. It's a great time to be looking at logs and using and trying to analyze the data for your clients if they want you to. So bringing back information on consumption, bringing back information on temperatures, bringing back information on equipment that is running, putting that information in front of them and saying, is this what you expect? Is this what you want? Is there something else that you need? And it's simple. Some of it can just be simple, like run hour data or metering data, and maybe even screenshots from the graphics to show, are you happy with this? Is this what you're expecting? Like we talked about before, a great time to get baselines for water metering, you know, and for cold water, for example, you know, you should be seeing very little cold water used now because there aren't many guests. So it's a great time to look at cold water to see if it's a resort style installation, whether there's leaks anywhere underground that they may not be aware of, because right now we should be seeing a very, very low water consumption. You should be able to see areas having zero water consumption, in fact. And if you're seeing a consumption that is not not required, or consumption that is consistent over night and day, then maybe that may reflect that you have a leak or something like that. And these values may normally be hidden behind the greater consumptions that you would normally see in the trends and records that you have. From the chilled water systems, we talked about this. It's time to, you know, this is a great time to ensure that bypass systems are operating, that your chilled water, if you've got variable speed drives on pumps, to ensure that they're correctly set up and maintaining the system and optimizing operation of the system in the way they're designed. It's, you know, how many pumps are called to operate, because, you know, if you've got a very low occupancy period, you should be looking for a very low number of pumps for the system to operate, because there's not people, areas are going to be shut down, guest rooms are going to be shut down. All of these things should impact your chilled water system. And what is the system delta T like? This is a really big thing. It's a key thing to think about. What does the return water temperature versus flow water temperature? So compare to, and here, if you look at the drawings, you might often think, oh yeah, where am I going to get the opportunity to measure these sorts of things from? There's plenty of locations where you can find out where to measure flows. Okay, if you're able to, you can find a balancing valve on different legs. Then you can use those balancing valves and the lookup charts for those balancing valves to try and ascertain the flow. Or if there's balancing valves on air handling units, you're able to do that. Or if because often we can't just go by the rated flow of the unit, we need to know what the balanced flow is. So if you've got 3 air handling units in a row and they're all 100% open, and then you can measure in a common point, then that gives you the ability to turn off 1, 2, 3, find out what's going on, and make sure that and try and see what's going on in your system and find out where the problems and faults are. For air handling units, restaurants, kitchens, if they're air conditioned, they're usually some of the biggest units in the hotels because of the loads that are in those areas. Good time to be looking at those to make sure that they're only operating when they need to, and maybe that they can be maybe dialed back a bit. Outside air and exhaust systems, again, usually on the larger side for the hotels, where we're doing treatment not only for fresh air, or I should say outside air for the fan coil units for the guest rooms, but also for the corridors in the hotels. If they're air conditioned, great time to be looking at what's going on there, and whether they're operating as they should. Water leaks, we talked about that before. Hot water production, is that matching your expectations as per the guest? And look at nighttime numbers for all of these services and daytime numbers. So get your trends and logging and alarms working on the BMS to get them working for you to help you get these things. So the other thing, of course, is a lot of this stuff can be done off-site if you had an analytics package, right? So we have our our particular devices and field devices in there. We have our BMS. We don't have the time to be doing all of these sorts of things, right? This is when the time when we can, where your building and your building engineers can be connected to Schneider's software, managed software as a service, something like Building Advisor, which will help you with all of these things. Okay, we understand that it's difficult times for hoteliers, but it is a good time to be getting them to actually think about it. That doesn't mean that they'll do it, but it's a good time to get them to think about using Building Advisor, because guess what? Right now, if you had Building Advisor connected to your building, you would be, the sorts of things that I've just talked about would be picked up. So I'm not saying go out and push this as an item to your clients. However, what I am saying is it's a great time for being able to be able to prove the value of Building Advisor in a particular site if you have the opportunity to look at that. And finally, from me, something to think about for those of you who don't know. ASHRAE have been the American Society of Heating and Refrigeration Engineers. They've been following the COVID-19 crisis quite closely, and they have made a couple of response documents. The last one that I'm aware of is on March the 24th, so it's very fresh. They might even have a new one by now. But this particular document talks about some of the things that in the service world that people can consider for all sorts of different types of buildings, not just hotels, but also for other commercial buildings, and the sorts of things that you should be keeping an eye on right now, especially in public areas like hotels. So it's a good guideline document, and it's free, and you can just go to www.ashrae.org and take a look at that. Just even if it's for self-education, it's always good to be able to supply something like this sort of information to engineers who might work in hotels if they're unaware. So that's about it for me. I'm going to hand this back now to Praveen. Uh-oh, don't tell me. Oh.
Before we go into the new product launch that we have in the coming 2 to 3 months, I just want to give a snapshot or a brief of what we are launching in the next 5 to 6 slides. So this is our market segmentation, where limited service means the 1 to 2 star hotels, where we would be pitching in TC 900. Then the full service is the 3 to 4 star hotels, and the luxury segment is the 4 to 5 star hotels. So we have positioned our products accordingly. But if you see, I want to touch upon a point with respect to TC90X 90 series. Why did we upgrade our product from TC303? Because one major thing is we realized the importance of designers, interior designers in hotels. If you see the TC907 and 903, it is much better looking than TC303, and we understand this could pull in a lot of business in hotels if we use a good looking thermostat. So this was one of the major reasons we upgraded from TC303 to TC903, and to provide that extra bit to the interior designers, we are also, let me just show you, renewed from May onwards, May to June. So you can check with your offer manager that we would be having a complete black TC907 series. And why this is important is because that we could be having, in front of customers, we could be having a uniform series of wiring devices with the thermostat. So we realize the importance of interior designers, and I request you as our front-facing people to our customers, pitch into your interior designers, keep them engaged in your hotel projects, because we are 100% aligned that there is a potential for pulling in business through TC90X. So this is our new product. This is the RPC controller that you are aware of. Although what we have done is we have tried to take HRC and listen to what customers want and incorporated all that features into this product. And what we have done is we have kept the in spite of adding all these new connectivity and new features, which we will go through, we have maintained the same commercial aspects with respect to HRC as well. With respect to HRC as well. So on the left hand side, you can see under the lighting. Let me just on the lighting. Now we are natively supporting DALI. We are supporting input-output modules and 0 to 10 volt. In addition to that, some of our customers were requiring for wireless communication for the refurb project. So we have brought in new wireless DALI and wireless 0 to 10 volt controllers for your refurb project. So what could be the pitch to the operator or the owner is that if you want to change or refurb your hotel 3 years or 5 years down the lane, our products are now itself compatible for that. Also, with respect to our ecosystem, what is our ecosystem of working along with Somfy, Assabloy, Wingard system? We have provided inbuilt integration to this module. So that means you do not have to use a third-party device. We are supporting a lot of integration, which we will go through. On the right hand side, on the wireless section, you can see that we are supporting. In addition to this, we would be supporting all Zigbee devices, which is coming under Schneider Digital Energy portfolio. Also, we are expanding our communication protocol to KNX devices. That means, unlike HRC, our new CRS module will be communicating to the lighting control switches and sensors that you all love and you are familiar with. So that means any finish under KNX can be used along with RPC. So we have taken a whole lot of connectivity and features and incorporated into the CRS system. Now, I just want to go through the data sheets and okay. Yeah. So this is our RPC module that you are all aware of. It is coming with 4 different configurations. You can see that a lot of input-output modules are already available on it. In addition to this, what we are doing is we are extending it beyond and taking, for example, modules like this, which has inputs and it will control 0 to 10 volt as well. To take another aspect, let me look at the DALI, which we did not have in HRC. So this DALI module, so the moment you connect to the RPC module, you can control the DALI lights. There is a tendency for DALI lights being incorporated in the region, especially now in Japan. We can see many projects are coming with DALI. Also, the luxury projects in Malaysia, I know a couple of them, they require DALI dimming as well. So there is definitely a trend, and now you can say that we are complying to these standards. So these are some of the architectures that we have for new projects. What are we doing with door lock? There are many countries who have come back with the feedback in past 1 year or so that we do not have door lock integration on HRC. So it was our major point. It was our major concern when we were developing this product. So what we have done is we have developed a Zigbee dongle, which will communicate to the access control system. The access control system for now, it is Assabloy and Wingard, which is the same company. So what it does is it takes all these status that you can see on the left. Door ajar, meaning when the door has been opened. This guest entry, staff entry, battery status, do not disturb, low battery status. What we do is because the clients, operators specifically has asked for more and more access control system to be made online. We will be taking all this communication, taking to our controller, to our EBO, and to their server. How is the owner or the operator benefiting from this? The very simple reason is that the access control system, the door lock system, need not have their own network. They can utilize our network, reduce the cost of the complete project itself by using the network. And why is this important? Door ajar with timestamp. It measures where the security of the room is. Let us assume a housekeeping staff is using the room, using a guest room when the room is not rented. So the moment he gets into the room, a notification comes onto our server and to the as access control server that the door has been opened with the timestamp. So all these status that you can see on the left are very important to the operators, and they are trying to push and implement more and more functionalities like this into their hotels, especially in the luxury segment. The countries that I have seen where this is requirement are majorly from Indonesia, Malaysia a bit, and now in Singapore. All the new hotels, they are asking for this. So we are aligned with the functionalities that they are asking for. Battery low status, if you know, the door lock has a inbuilt battery, and it runs out after some time. So all these notifications come on to the server without an extra network. So what we are doing is we are basically helping them to reduce the cost as the capex investment from the owner for the new projects. Again, we are looking at EBO. We are looking at the interface. We are trying to simplify this. This is the new guest room interface that we would be launching. It is a draft copy. So these are some of the very unique, very modern, very simple looking user interface. Although it is customizable, this would be the standard user interface, I could say. But then if you want the 3D graphics, you know, EBO is 100% capable of that with the user interface. Even some operators in the past 6 months, I can see that they are asking for the user interface has to be standard across their hotel chain. So they will be going to the owner and saying, okay, this is the user interface that we would want. So as an EcoXperts, I request you guys to stress on our capability as for user interface with the owners and with the operators as well in your discussion, along with consultants. Here I have tried to put in competition with Schneider and our new products. It is open to feedback as well. So this sheet, this box or table is for you to know how to attack the competition and at what points. Let us go to a hotel where we are competing with Dynalite. Then we could stress on these USPs of Schneider, where we are strong, and with use case and how we are benefiting the owner and the consultant in day-to-day operations and in cost. We can use this table. So this would be given for you. Are welcome to we are welcome to comment on this later, as this is products are being launched on daily basis by competition as well, but this is as per the latest information that we have. On board, the most of these points, if you see, it has been incorporated into the specification with user case. For example, BLE onboard BLE is our inbuilt Bluetooth for commissioning. This has been incorporated into the specification to reduce the ladder time. As the functionalities regarding Zigbee has been incorporated. So we have tried to touch upon all our USPs in the specification to help you sell more and improve our hit rate within hotels. I told you before when we started that there is a perspective of brownfield projects and a basic energy management system in this current scenario of market. It could be not only that, it could be a scenario where the consultant is saying, okay, let me try to value engineer or re-engineer the solution that we have to a more cost-effective but return on investment. So on all the greenfield and brownfield projects, we have put in an ROI sheet, the return on investment. The purpose of showing you this sheet is to show how we are pitching to the customers, telling that if you install the Schneider system, this is a possible. It's not telling this is the actual or the real return on investment. It is showing how what are the possible opportunities that you can get in terms of energy saving and chilled water saving in the projects. So if you just to go through the sheet very quickly, this is an actual project which we have adapted to the region. So what we did is during the 7 days where the guest occupied the room for 5 days and two days were unoccupied. We calculate there were in the whole hotel there were 1,120 FCUs with average occupancy of 83%. So we used the BTU meter and calculated the consumption of chilled water within the occupied and within the with the Schneider system and without the Schneider system. As you can see, the amount of chilled water consumption is drastically low in this case where we have implemented this system. So this has been multiplied with the for the complete project, and it has been added on to the chilled water efficiency, and we have come to the figure of which is 0.18 Sing dollars per kilowatt hour in Singapore. So we have come to by installing a Schneider energy management system, a potential saving that the owner can get is $203,000 of chilled water. Now, looking at the fan, there is not only chilled water, there is water, there is saving in the fan speed as well. So we are doing the same process for the electricity consumption, and we have come to the 156,000 saving. So now when we add this, we can see that our return on investment is less than 3 years. Again, Schneider nor you, I assume, do not do contracts which you confirm the ROI, but this is just a guideline for you to understand or convince the client or the EcoXpert consultant what are the benefits and how you can what is the benefit of using energy management system to save on the energy bill. Okay, I will go into the next slide if this is okay. I am I have been talking, you all have seen this EcoStructure for hotels slide from our global team. But in the region, Vietnam has been successful in winning a hotel with multiple portfolios within Schneider by a single customer. My objective is going for me to show you the next use case win project is for you to when you are with a customer. I request you as our friend face to go beyond BMS or RMS. So there are so many opportunities within the hotel space that some countries and some partners are looking at. So you could collaborate more to be a solution provider in front of the customer. I'm going into an actual case where we have done this for Vietnam. You can see the amount of solutions that Sognam has provided along with the support of Vietnam team, which is Kai, Min, and Duke. They have done an amazing job of selling the complete solution of DE within a hotel space and increasing the value of EcoXpert to a customer. Now imagine I am the client and I have a solution provider like this. Uh, Next time when an opportunity comes, I would definitely call them for multiple product lines. So I request you I request EcoXperts to look at the expanding your product portfolio. We are at your service to provide any training, or even we can help you to collaborate with partners who are more who have expertise in their domain. So you can be the solution provider for the end client with other subcontractors under you. So what have we won in this project? We have won guest room, of course. We have won building management system. Then we have gone into security expert, which is our access control system. Every hotel has a access control system, and I see our systems are mostly equipped for back of house security access control system. So you can see that they have provided that. Then there is the lighting control that you all know about. Another point that they have very well done is the PME. So if you look at the architecture of BMS, these are some of the systems that they have connected to the BMS, the chiller, the HUs, the FCUs. We all know how we are doing it, but we have also used the meters in this case. Okay, it is the scope was under BMS, where we are using the meters and connecting it to the PME software. Many of you might have attended the session on power quality and power metering yesterday, but they have tried to combine everything into the EBO structure of hotels. I think this is an amazing win, and I believe more and more of our eco experts should do this to increase our portfolio and our win rate. This is the security expert that I was talking about. You can see the SPC controllers and the door expanders, where we are using our for the back of house solution. Also, we have integrated into the IPTV. So we are open to a lot of IPTV manufacturers, including, I believe, Pelco, and even now I believe Samsung is integrated as well. So with our EBO, you can integrate all these solutions into one. So I request you to look at this architectures and propose this to more customers where you are strong in. This is our lighting control. So you can see the amount of systems that we have won in this specific project. Here we are going into the document of Hilton. So what has happened is Brendan has created a document for tendering to new Hilton projects. So this document gives us a guideline of what Hilton is looking for in the focus service. Focus could be 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. Yeah, I would say on a general perspective. So when you get a new Hilton project, what are the points to consider and what are the points to quote so that it is aligned and a working solution. So majority of the hotels you can see in the focus for Hilton that we can see these are the points to consider from against the when you are quoting. SE 8000 is being sold for many hotels, so these are working solutions. Sensor coverage diagram. This is something that Hilton is always asking for, where previously there were multiple instances where the coverage of the diagram was coverage of the sensor was now not covering the entire room. So we must stress on the importance of sensor coverage in our proposal. Sensor to be used, we should make sure that the motion sensor that we are using should not have blinking LEDs and should not make noise. On queue license, you know that you know that we have specially developed a license for Hilton. So these are some of the points which will help you to win. And the moment you put a proposal which is aligned with it globally, that they know this is what this is an approved solution. We have worked with it before. It will help you to get more and more approval quicker compared to your competition. Let me go in very briefly to the document. Yeah. So this is the document that Brendan has put forward. It's a 20-page document. We do not have time to go through it, but it gives you an idea what is the bill of materials. What is the schematic required for the room? How the sensor coverage diagram should look like. We were having issues where the corner sofa was not covered, and I can tell you that if the sensor coverage diagram and all this information are not covered in your proposal, there is a 100% chance that they would come back and ask you to do so. So the objective of showing you this document is basically to tell that these are the guidelines for quoting, and try to follow them in all cases possible. Brendan is put forwarding another. Yeah.
Praveen, especially, I'll just chime in here because I've just come off a call with Hilton actually.
Okay.
These sensor mapping diagrams, if you don't put them in your offer, it's likely that your offer may actually in the end be rejected. So even if the owner is not asking for these drawings, or the owner is not asking for the documents to be laid out in the way that these things, the way that we show in our documentation and your response, even if the owner or the consulting engineer is not asking for a response like that, we still suggest that you respond in this manner with these documents anyway, because at some point this document will come in front of Hilton. And if you've responded in this way and 3 of your competitors have not, it puts you in a very good position immediately. The other thing is to consider, I'm sure that everyone will say, if I respond in this manner, that my price will be very high, okay? I'm sure that you're probably thinking that, and yes, to some extent, responding in the manner that we're asking you to respond will push your price up. However, it is important to understand that Hilton are looking for this to be installed in this way. Okay, so if at some stage you need to get to the negotiating table and you need to negotiate down, well then I suppose that's your business to be able to do that. However, you still need to cover what Hilton are asking for. Now, in the case of this document, we suggest some sensors that you could use, and those sensors are, to be honest, quite expensive. We're not saying you have to use those sensors. What we're saying you have to do is have coverage of the space with the sensors, with those infrared sensors. So, if, for example, what's indicated on this drawing is the dual tech ultrasonic and infrared combined sensor from Argus. Okay, now that is an expensive sensor. I agree, it's an expensive sensor, but it works very well, and we've proven it to work very well in difficult locations. However, if you want to install 2 PIRs, which maybe you can do that for the price of one of these sensors, or even cheaper than one of these sensors, even though one of these sensors might cover the space better than your 2 PIRs, you will need to show 2 things on your drawing. You will need to show the small movement range of your infrared detector and the large movement range of your infrared detector. Now, the reason is that on these outer edges of this particular example, if you could just zoom in a bit there, Praveen.
Yeah.
Just zoom.
1 minute.
Awesome. Yep. So just scroll down a tiny bit so we can see the outer edges.
Are you okay?
Or scroll up a bit then, if that's down. Bit further. That's it. So on these outer edges, you'll see that there are these chairs and stuff, and this is a very common design now in Hiltons, that they have these perimeter seating and reclining positions. Okay, so small movement is really important. Small movement coverage is really important, because someone might be sitting in that corner spot there at the very periphery of the room, and just move their arm to push a control to change the TV. Right? If you only have large movement coverage in that area, it's likely that you will not see that, and therefore you will not respond. So the scenario, it's not just about seeing the movement, because we know the room's occupied, but I'll give you a scenario which is exactly what happened. The room was occupied. The person was sitting on the corner of the lounge. The room service came in with a trolley. They left it in a position in the room, and then they departed the room. The guest remained seated on the lounge without eating their dinner yet for 10 or 15 minutes, and the room shut down. The room stopped. Okay, because it wasn't seeing that guest over on the periphery, because the door trigger had happened and seen the service staff go out, but we didn't see the guest. So this is why this small move, even though that they were sitting there, and we know who the guest was. If you'd like to know who the guest was was actually one of the engineering staff from Hilton, who sign off jobs. So we then had to go through a whole bunch of rooms and do this same thing. The other thing that's not shown, that Praveen didn't show here, is what you will be expected once you've won the job with Hilton. You will be expected to do testing. Okay. And the testing is very thorough, okay? So the testing is testing that small movement, and that needs to be videotaped, okay? So that you can prove small movement sensing in the room. It doesn't have to be a professional videotape. It can be something done on a telephone, but it needs to be videotaped, and then that videotape forms part of the testing and commissioning documentation. All of those settings then that are on the particular PIR, or the location for that PIR. This all happens at mock-up stage as well, but also once we're in testing and commissioning, that has to be done for that testing and video testing has to be done for every room type installed, not every room type installed. So that's a very important thing to point out, because that testing for each room type may take you a couple of days. Okay. but they will be looking for that, and until you give Hilton that, they won't sign off. So just some points, and it's not us saying you should do this, it's Hilton telling us that this is what they want from us, and if we act in this way, then they will look upon our offers more favourably. Okay, thank you.